up, Woodward. We are starting off your day with a brand new crew. Meet Broder.
I can't control my arms sometimes. My limbs are just kind of flying.
Detroit Kool-Aid.
Fired up!
Y'all got Kool-Aid.
I'm fired up! But with the Wake Up Woodward crew, he's actually a part of the family.
Flannel Sam.
Ask me about my wiener! Okay.
Along with JB and KG. Wake Up Woodward gets you all of your Detroit sports talk. Every morning, 8 to 10 a.m. Live on Woodward Sports. A show for Detroit, by Detroit, with people from Detroit. Tell Siri to set an alarm. Because it's time to Wake Up Woodward.
What up, though, people? It's Wake Up Woodward. We appreciate you, chat family, for kicking off the day with the crew. Gonna need you guys to go ahead and run up that like button today. Satisfy it early. We're definitely gonna get to that later too, but you guys can start this thing right now. And we got a lot to talk about. There's a lot on the menu for both of the Jungle Cats. And you know what, Flannel? Tell the people what's on the menu. And I see the victory shades. Shout out White Claw.
Oh, yes. Shout out White Claw. We obviously know why the victory shades are being worn. The Tigers did bounce back, although got a little too close for comfort at times. We'll talk about that in just a second. The Lions also made a signing on their offensive line. And I'll tell you what, even though I haven't been super high on what's been available out there in terms of free agency for, you know, interior offensive lineman centers, I'm not mad at this one. I'm not mad at this one at all.
I'm feeling pretty good, Flannel Sam. I'm feeling pretty good right now.
I'm not mad at this one at all, and we'll explain more in detail later. And because the Lions made a big signing, even though it's not a household name, even though it's not super sexy, we still want to get you guys involved. So after we give our thoughts on the Trystan Colon signing as a WUW Crew, we're going to open up the phone line. So if you guys didn't get a chance to call in on Tuesday, call in today. If you have some thoughts, if you want to celebrate, if you don't like the signing, if you think they need to do more, anything and everything is on the table. If I'm being real ideal, we're going to try to get to as many of you guys as we can. If you guys want to even close out the show, that would be great. However, if we have time, I do want to get into the Stanley Cup Finals Game 1 last night. A thrilling Edmonton Oilers overtime win. And oh, by the way, before we get to the Tigers, thank you to the Oilers and Panthers, and thank you to the Tigers and Mother Nature for my lack of sleep today. I'll just say that.
Shout out, you know
These
what?
sunglasses are hiding bags under my eyes, man.
Shout out, man. You know, I had to wear the all black Red Wings hat today, man. I see that dude Justin decked out in the Red Wings. I know you guys are recording Woodward Wings today.
Yes.
I can't wait to see that episode, but you know what,
entire Red Wings community.
Yeah.
How you like that one?
Look,
Shouldn't have been rage bait, by the way, but more on that Saturday morning.
But I was just thinking, I was like looking at Stanley Cup Finals and when I saw it as a blip, and I was just like, man, I'm feeling for my Red Wings. But they're going to get there. One team that is there right now and controlling their own destiny, the Detroit Tigers. They bounced back over those White Sox. We admitted we were a little bit bullish to go out there and demand the 4-game sweep over this team, even though I still think those Tigers are capable of it. But they bounce back and they get a win. Again, this is another day where you're looking at the pitchers and the bullpen, and it's another one of those days. Can the Tigers go out there and buy another one of those types of games? And you know what? They went out there and they did it, and it was, from an offensive standpoint, some of the names that we've come to hear a lot from this season, from Riley Green to Dylan Dingler, all the way on down to Colt Keith and Perez. So this team continues to find ways to navigate through all of the ups and downs. And I don't even understand how you put it together this way, but when I look at what happened with the pitching, when I'm looking at what's going on with them being able to allow Casey Mize and Reese Olson and others, even within the batting lineup, to get healthy, this is where I'm excited when they're able to go out and win games like this in those handle your business games where they might not necessarily have that A lineup going that night from a pitching perspective.
Well, and that's what's funny about last night, because I'm sure I'm not alone in this line of thinking. After seeing what happened to the Tigers on Wednesday night, I was convinced that the Tigers were going to come out with a vengeance against the White Sox, who were having a bullpen day, and just bludgeon the Sox. And in the top of the first, it was working out according to plan. I thought when they took a 4-0 lead in the top of the first that it was going to be Cruise City, that it was going to be BTA, that it was going to be like 10-2 or something like that, or 12-3.
Just
or
like the first game.
Yeah, that's about what I thought. However, those 4 runs in the top of the first would be the last ones they would score until the 8th inning, and they only would score 1 more for the rest of the game. But that's okay, because a win is a win is a win, and the White Sox are an MLB team too, even if they are not good. But shout out to the Tigers, though, for just immediately getting rid of the bad taste of the previous night's game and scoring 4 in the top of the first. You got Gleyber Torres and Andy Ibanez reaching, getting Riley Green in a second and third nobody out situation, and Riley Green with a drawn-in infield shoots a single the opposite way to left field to score 2 runs, which Riley Green, once again, coming through with runners in scoring position and coming through against left-handed pitching. Something he struggled with a little bit this year, but did it again in this game. And, of course, we know Dylan Dingler and Javi Baez followed with a couple of RBI singles. And the Javi Baez one, of course, got our group chat going because Maz was trolling Neil. Hey, I don't think Maz has too much of a leg to stand on right now, but always love to see Javi. Javi gets the people going. It gets certainly our chat going, because anytime he does anything, it's like, ha, Neil.
Instantly, man. And you know what? This is one where I feel like it's like a character one. I know it's just the White Sox, but to be able to see them go out there and, like I say, win in a variety of ways now, I'm just like, this team is ready for anything. And you know what? The pulse is still there. They're not falling asleep at the wheel. You want to see this Tigers team wake up after a loss to the White Sox and get one back, no matter how you have to do it, because we all know, aside from baseball being a fickle sport, baseball is a very, very long season. And I do wonder sometimes, how much does it matter to the Detroit Tigers to finish with the best record in all of baseball? How much does it matter for the Detroit Tigers to finish with the best record in the AL? And I definitely know that their aspirations are to win the Central. But I do wonder sometimes, like, how hard are they going to push? Because you're going to have to, in a long season, you're going to have those ebbs and flows. You're going to have times where there's real injuries in real time, 60 days and plus on the DL, or on the injury list. And then there's going to be times where you have, you know, those times where you have, like, Casey Mize and potentially Reese Olsen, where it's not as serious, but you have the luxury because of the you know, how much of a lead they've built up for themselves. And so for me, I'm looking to see who the character is. We know their identity. We know they're gritty. We know they're going to fight. And now I'm looking at the character. And I do believe this team is passing that test right now, whether it's a dogfight, whether it's against a team that's supposed to win, whether it's against some of the best in the league. They're going out there and they're proving that they can win in a variety of fashions.
Yeah, in a variety of fashions. And Dante151, thank you for the segue. Sawyer Gibson-Long did okay, but he has areas to improve in. And yes, the Tigers and Tiger fans were reintroduced to Sawyer Gibson-Long, who's probably forced into big league action maybe a little sooner than, you know, the Tigers had planned. And he was, you know, a little shaky. But he hadn't pitched in the bigs since 2023. So obviously, when the Tigers took a 4-0 lead at the top of the first, I would have preferred Gibson-Long to pitch a little bit better. I would have preferred the game to be stress-free. But you know what? He ate some innings. He didn't allow it to get out of hand. And that's where he was able to turn it over to the bullpen. Because Sawyer Gibson-Long, he pitched 3 2/3 of 3 earned runs, which is not terrible, but not ideal. John Brebbia comes in, and God bless Brebbia. He's just been like the one dud so far this year. I'm not going to kill him for it, but looks like so far Scott Harris knocked it out of the park with Canely and Torres, but with Brebbia and even Alex Cobb, But Brebbia wasn't great. He allowed a run, and he left the game in the bottom of the 5th.
They locked it down
To give Tyler Holton the unenviable job of holding a 4-3 lead, but inheriting the bases loaded and 1 out. And Tyler Holton, he did allow the game-tying sacrifice fly, which allowed the White Sox to tie the game, but he got the next hitter out. It was a Slater on a line out. And then what did Tyler Holton do after not allowing things to get out of hand? He pitched a 1-2-3-6. What did I talk about yesterday? Tyler Holton needs to get back on track. And you know what? A.J. Hinch threw him right back into the fire, and Tyler Holton succeeded. But it wasn't just Tyler Holton. Tyler Holton was a part of the back end of the bullpen that pitched 4 2/3 to end the game of hitless, walkless ball. Because after Tyler Holton, it was Will Vest that held it down in the bottom of the 7th, which allowed the Tigers to retake the lead in the top of the 8th. Wensiel Perez, shout out to him. He's been raking since he's been back. Starts out the inning with a double. And then Colt Keith with the runner on second and 1 out. Hits the ball, hits a pop-up, which probably should have been caught, but you know what? It was in no man's land a bit. And the reason why the White Sox blow is because, you know what? Even when Colt Keith hits one that should have been caught, the White Sox make it no man's land. It drops. Andrew Benintendi isn't able to get to it. Wensiel Perez, with some heads-up base running, reads that it's not going to be caught, is able to score on the play. And I'll tell you what, even though it wasn't like with Colt Keith a gapper, like 105-mile-an-hour hit ball, it doesn't matter how you get it. I'm sure with Colt Keith, and I know we've seen him, there have been plenty of times where he hits a line drive right at somebody, or he hits what looks to be a gapper and there's a diving catch. So you know what? Yeah. Even though Colt Keith didn't barrel it or anything, you take game-winning hits any way that you can get them, and Colt Keith, as I said before, is heating up, and you love to see it.
Absolutely love to see it. And you know what else you love to see? When you're looking at the standings here, I got so used to, especially with the Tigers and with the Red Wings, clicking that wild card button. And I was like, oh, wait, where's the Tigers? Where's the Tigers? I was like, oh, no, this is the wild card. We don't belong there anymore. We're in a little bit upper tier. But you know what's interesting here? You see two teams at the top of this thing, the Minnesota Twins, you see the Cleveland Guardians at the top of your wild card standings. But what's crazy is when you go to the league overall, who are your top 4 teams right now in the AL? The Tigers, the Yankees, the Twins, and the Guardians.
Yeah.
And the Tigers are leading their division right now by 6 flipping games. Yeah. That's how dominant they've been. That's how and 2.5 games over the Yankees. That's what's absolutely crazy, that I'm able to see them go and not just win with guys having slumps or pitchers going to the injured list, or when is Parker Meadows going to come back and all this type. They're winning in a plethora of ways. You look at how they had to put together even with the bullpen, and they do this regularly. I am not concerned with any situation that they find themselves in now, because even if I don't even know who a player may or may not be, or too much of what they are, it's like I have such a trust in what A.J. Hinch is doing with this squad, and that they've selected the right players for this system, that I do believe this team is primed to finish with the best record in the AL. I believe that should be their expectation. Don't fall off from that.
Yeah, that is their expectation at this point. And shout out to the AL Central for once again making things a little bit more difficult than they have to be. But all I get told is how it's a terrible division. That's just simply not true. It's just simply not true. The Tigers would have a bigger lead if they played in the AL West, or if you replaced the Yankees with the Tigers in the AL East, they would have a bigger division lead, and they'd have a bigger division lead in the AL West, because no team really in the AL West is any good. They're all just a bunch of mid. But shout out to, because I mentioned Will Vest's 1 inning, which allowed Colt Keith to give the Tigers the lead with a game-winning hit. Will Vest comes right back out in the bottom of the 8th, 1-2-3, and then Tommy Kahnle gets his 9th save of the season with a 1-2-3 bottom of the 9th. Man, Kahnle and Vest are they're just unhittable this year. In the totality of the season, they are unhittable, and one of those guys is going to make the All-Star team. If they can keep this up, I might even pound the table for 2. I know that I've been starting a Tommy Kahnle to the All-Star game, that agenda. But Will Vest is like, wait a minute, I'm worthy too. And both of them have also, what'll help I think both of them is both of them have gotten a lot of saves. They've both gotten a lot of run in the closer position, and we know dominant closers get priority when it comes to all-star selections. And Kahnle and Vest, they've both been dominant at getting saves and holds. All-star both of them, F it. All wild out. All-star both
wild
of them.
Wild out, boy.
Yeah.
Shout out to the chat family too. Want to get a few of their comments here. What up, though, with Detroit? Gunny says Twins and Guardians are 5-5 in their last 10 games. While our gritty Tigers are 8-2. That's amazing, because this lead in the AL Central was honestly a lot larger than I thought. I had gotten to the point where I said, okay, all right. I'm not going to check it game after game after game, because the Tigers are just handling business. I just want to surprise myself, and you pop your head back in there after like 3, 4, 5 days, and you're like, whoa, what the heck happened? Because the Twins and the Guardians are definitely moving up the AL division standings, but they aren't getting any closer to the Tigers. which is an amazing feat right now for the Detroit Tigers to be that many games up, to be already at 41 wins, and we're not even at the halfway mark. We're not even at, hey, we're in the hot part of the season yet. We're just getting back some of our dogs, and we're going to get back Reese Olson. And we see how this team is able, though, despite not having some of their starting pitching there, to still say, you know what, we got enough to continue to keep this pace up. And that, to me, is where I do believe they're going to give themselves the best opportunity to have multiple of those all-stars. They're having an amazing season. That's why I wanted to point out just how good they've been in this division. I don't think that you're too far off from Wild Off, man. But I'm seeing Vincent E. and Greg 2025, their expectations now, 105 wins for the Detroit Tigers. So people are feeling bullish. They're definitely feeling stoked right now about the Detroit Tigers.
God, this is so tough because I'm not going to pound the table for 105. I'll pound the table that 95 to me is the floor right now. But 100 is certainly doable. I think they'd have to finish the season 58 and 41 now to get to 100. I think 9 games over. I think if they finish the season 9 games over 500, they get to 96 and 66. I mean, 105 and you're 105 and you don't even lose 60 games. That's like the type of regular seasons. I'm not going to say they're necessarily historic, but if you can finish a baseball season with less than 60 losses, you are a dominant regular season team. And so far it's the Tigers. I mean, credit to you guys for having those expectations. They've given us fans reason to believe that they're a dominant regular season team.
Yep. And Chuckle Cheese, you know what? I feel this statement right here. He says, I'm getting a little sick of our divisions and all of our sports. When we get I guess he meant when we get good, there's always somebody right on our butt from our own division. And I mean, you look at even the Pistons to have such a historic season, but who's in the finals right now? The Pacers from their division, which is pretty wild. You look at even the Lions last year, and the fact that the Vikings said, we're going to really make you guys sweat this thing out all the way to the end. It's never going to be easy for Detroit, but that's the reason why. If you don't have that gritty aspect, if you don't have that never say die, if you're not having both sides of what it means to have that identity and that DNA as well as character, that's where you get left behind in the dust. But these teams right now, they are starting to be the perfect symbol of what those things mean and what we've come to identify with the city. That's why I love when Dan Campbell says, no, we literally have to identify with the people here. They have to be able to look at our squads and be able to see that it is more than just a marketing word, a marketing scheme, a gimmick, or something just to hook them. It got to really be that. And we're seeing these teams really step out on the field and do that no matter what's really thrown their way.
Before we move on to the news of the day, which is the Trystan Colon signing, do you mind if I give Riley Green some love? You knew it was coming. You knew it was. Hey, judging by some of the fans, I think people do that.
Man.
Hey, no, I mean, and I'm not going to wild out too much, but I am going to Riley Green has been a bit of my passion project for you guys who don't know, because I was on the Riley Green train harder than anybody before anybody was. Obviously, I made what I believe the most terrible mistake of my career on air, but I am repenting by wearing his jersey every day. But that being said, the more things change, the more things stay the same. We know that this season has been built in a lot of ways off of Spencer Torkelson's reemergence, Gleyber Torres being signed in free agency, being a phenomenal free agent signing. And I'm just talking about hitters right now. Zach McKinstry having the best season of his life. Javi Baez being, although he's been slumping lately, still having numbers that we would have all been thrilled with. To start the season, still being a viable player on this team. Kerry Carpenter has been able to stay healthy up to this point. Dylan Dingler has turned into a much better hitter than I think any of us ever imagined. I think a lot of us thought that the catching position might be weak hitting before the year, but Dylan Dingler has proven all of us wrong.
I have faith.
Hey,
I should have put a jersey on.
Dylan Dingler, though, he's continuing to get big hits, and he's been great. All of that's true, but the more things change, the more things stay the same. I look at the Detroit Tigers website, and obviously if the Tigers win, I don't care who puts up the numbers, but I still look at it. Leading the team in average, Green. RBIs, Green. He's actually tied with Torque, by the way. Hits, Green. OPS, Green. Riley Green is 4th in the majors, in the American League in RBIs, by the way. Tied for 4th with Taylor Ward and Spencer Torkelson, by the way. It brings a tear to my eye to see both of them. However, I do want to get a little bit snarky for just a second, as I always do when it comes to Mr. Riley Green, because one thing that I keep hearing a little bit too much is about Riley Green's strikeouts. And I got to give Justin credit for that because he's actually backed me up that it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. If you're a power hitter, you tend to strike out a lot. And Riley Green's been hitting at a power level the best of his career up to this point. But Riley Green is in a prestigious class, I will just say this. Do you have a tweet, JB, from the Twitter handle Sarge, or the X handle Sarge? Which gives a glimpse of the company that Riley Green is keeping, and that strikeouts really don't matter. Mr. JB Smoove, you got that one?
I don't think I have that. Give me 1 sec.
No? Okay, that's fine. All right, so there are 4 players in the MLB, I'll just read it, with 70-plus strikeouts, an on-base percentage of .330 or better, an OPS plus of 130 or higher. There's 4 players in the MLB that have that. These guys have been great hitters, but they strike out a lot. Those are James Wood, Cal Raleigh, Shohei Ohtani, and Riley Green. I don't want to hear a damn thing about Riley Green's strikeouts anymore, because if it's okay for Shohei and Cal Raleigh and James Wood to strike out, it's okay for Riley Green. Shohei Ohtani is the best player a lot of us have ever seen. Certainly the NL MVP frontrunner right now. Cal Raleigh, if the season ended today, would be 2nd in the AL and MVP voting next to Aaron Judge. He's having a dominant season. James Wood is one of the best young players in all of baseball, has turned into an absolute star for the Washington Nationals. Thank you, JB Smoove, for putting it up there. So I know a lot of people want to talk about his strikeouts. I know Gromit wants to come in talking about his strikeouts all of the time. But who the F cares? He's got company right now with Cal Raleigh, Shohei Ohtani, and James Wood. This is elite. Riley Green has been amazing this year. And honestly, if he continues to hit lefties better, which he did last night, which he did against Chris Bubich in Kansas City, if he continues to up that average with runners in scoring position, which he got a big hit last night, there's no stopping Riley Green from being an MVP candidate this year, because he's already putting up good numbers, and he hasn't heated up against lefties or with runners in scoring position yet. The league should be very, very afraid of Mr. Riley Green.
Shout out Flannel Sam. Shout out, and I see you got some love in the chat.
Yes, and WeezyD313, yes, James Wood was in the Soto trade along with C.J. Abrams and Mackenzie Gore. Shout out the Nationals for that one, getting the absolute most they could for when you trade away your franchise player.
And you got some, you know what? You get a vote of confidence from Steve-O Baby, who says, exactly, Sam. And you guys already know, for me, it sounds just like the same old trope that we get when you're talking about Cade Cunningham and the turnovers things. When you look at the top 10, I'll hedge that to the top 9 in turnovers per game from this past season. You're going to see a bunch of players that either made the playoffs or were in the NBA MVP conversation. So it's a little bit overblown when you're talking about certain aspects of what these players don't do well, when these guys have proven to be all-stars and some of the best players, young players, not just young. Take the ages away. You see Riley Green is just one of the best players in all of baseball. You see Cade Cunningham, one of the best players in all of basketball. This is a great time for Detroit sports, and I'm hoping that more and more fans find themselves in a position to be a part of what made Detroit sports so big. Yes, the teams winning was it, but there was a whole lot of regular season games and a whole lot of memorable playoff games where the fans were on 150%. And we know what that's like because we see it happening right now with the Detroit Lions. Imagine if the fans in totality got behind their stars with their warts and all and got behind their teams. Like that's where I'm hoping. That's our next evolution. When you know you got a squad and you got some dogs, get behind these guys, man. That's the one thing that I always scratch my head on. Sometimes people think I'm drinking a Kool-Aid because I'm still supporting somebody who might be struggling. It's like, no, I want that player to do better. But as long as they're still wearing that jersey and they're still giving it their all, and we understand with reasonability that there is an opportunity for them to break out of it, then I'm going to definitely make sure that I'm doing everything in my power possible, not put my foot in my own mouth. Because right now, how many people got the taste of their own foot in their mouth from Torkelson or Javi, no matter how improbable, or even Riley Green this year?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm just like, you know what, man? Get behind these players and support them. Because if we do this the right thing, if they do this thing the right way, like we see these teams starting to do, then that's what we want. There's no more time for us to sit back and create any aspect of like what player we do or don't want. We're talking about all-stars. Like all-stars, bro. That's the craziest part to me. We're not even talking about pre-all-star Riley Green with potential. We're talking about a guy who's consistently carried this Tigers offense. And when you look back to last year, there was a lot of times, just like we looked at with Scoobs, carrying it. Like, hey, you know what? Bullpen, take the night off. There was a lot of, how many nights last year where Riley Green was like, offense, take the night off. I got this. Like, that's the guy that you want in your squad, man. I'm not going to dog that. It's crazy how people will put the cape on for Kerry Bonds and will be very quiet when he goes through stretches. And I'm not even dissing him. But it just feels like a whole nother analogy I just don't even want to mention right now. But I'm just like, bro, get behind your players, get behind your teams, and support them. Like, straight up, man.
And I promise you, people think that I'm overblowing this. I swear to you that if Riley Green goes 0 for 4 today, even if the Tigers win by 5, he'll get dogged. I promise you, because I've seen it all the time. And
now our chat is fired up, though.
Hey, shout out.
Our chat is fired up.
Shout out. But I do have one more tweet, though, in just a second that I want to respond to. Sorry for filibustering so much about Riley Green, but you know that's what I do. And he went 3 for 5 last night. That's the reason I'm talking about it. The only player on the team with multiple hits last night. WeezyD313, are you upset that Torque is playing just as well as Green? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, honestly, I would say that Green has had a slightly better season, but it doesn't even matter. You've never heard me say one negative thing about Torque this whole year. In fact, I think that I've probably been the leader of the Tiger Kings movement. I think if you go across all the shows, the Tiger Kings, when talking about Torque and Green, those segments have been driven by yours truly. I love that they're both having all-star caliber seasons. Like Green with an 842 OPS, Torque 837. That's a goddamn wet dream. Shout out. No, it is. And what up with Detroit Gunny? Because I want to clarify my point. I am a huge Riley Green fan and do believe he is an MVP candidate, but let's not put him in a sentence with Ohtani. Ohtani has double the home runs. Hey, Detroit Gunny, I am in no way, shape, or form comparing Riley Green to Shohei Ohtani as a player. Shohei Ohtani's my GOAT, by the way. My GOAT is when he can go out there pitching. That MVP season he had with the Angels, I think, is the greatest season I've ever seen by a Major League Baseball player. My point with that graphic is that, or with that tweet, shout out Sarge, is that you can strike out and it doesn't matter. Shohei Ohtani strikes out at a rate that is extremely high, and he's still an MVP candidate every single year. Even when he's not pitching, like last year, he's an MVP candidate. My point is that strikeouts, if you are a fan that clings to strikeouts as this just terrible, unforgivable thing, I can't help you. I understand situationally they're not ideal. Like if there's a runner on third with less than 2 out, you don't want your best player to strike out. But in the totality, Cal Raleigh strikes out all the time. James Wood strikes out all the time. Shohei Ohtani strikes out all the time. Riley Green strikes out all the time. Who the F cares?
Stop busting narratives.
I know, right? Weird.
I tell you this, though, Gromit, every single Detroit Tigers fan should feel like this. Tigers need to start getting runs for Scooble. That's fair. That's definitely fair. But Weezy D313, you're sick, Weezy. Come on, bro. Hallie would have unleashed Malik Beasley.
Okay, well, Jesus, don't get us sidetracked. Do not get us sidetracked. But can one more thing, and I promise we'll get to the football. Because, man, I've become the Riley Green crusader. All right, because every time Riley Green does something, somebody comes in with the snark. And this is actually a pretty big Twitter account. It's from Clay Snowden. And hold off for just a thank you, JB. I'm sorry. That was my bad. But way to pivot. Hopefully none of you guys have seen this.
That's why they call him Mr. Fast, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah. That was fast on display. All right. Let me give you some backstory. Parker Meadows in his debut had an amazing game, and I was very excited about it. But I'll just say this. Microwave Nick and the social team were way over their skis. The way that Nick was talking after that one game was that Parker Meadows was ready to already be the best player on this team. And don't get me wrong, that's what Microwave Nick does. That's what makes him so great. He's the best Tigers beat reporter in the world, as far as I'm concerned. I'm a little biased, but I love Nick. But that's like, bro, it was one.
That, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. It was one game. And I understand Parker Meadows was great in the second half of last year, but it's like, dude, this is Riley Green, about to be a two-time All-Star. And then I saw our very own social media team after one game by Parker Meadows, and I love Parker, by the way. I love Parker. After one game, they posted this like tweet of the best center in baseball is back, and it shows Pete Crow Armstrong of the Cubs, who actually is the best center fielder, the best center fielder in baseball right now, leads the National League in WAR, is an MVP candidate for the Cubs. He's been playing great. But then it superimposes Parker Meadows over him and replaces Pete Crow Armstrong with Meadows. So basically it implies that Parker Meadows is the best center fielder in baseball already. Parker Meadows gets that after one game. What does Riley Green get after a 3-for-5 game, after a season in which he's continuing to be great? Fourth in the AL in RBIs, better OPS, better batting average than he had last year. What do we get from a Tigers writer who actually has a pretty big following on X? Go ahead, Mr. JB Smoove. No matter how many times I see it, I'll never get used to the way Green runs. All you're doing, Mr. Snowden, is just feeding raw meat to the dumbasses. That's what you're doing. And that's Exhibit A right there, why Riley Green is not as embraced in this town as he should be. People actually just look at the way he runs and don't like it. It's insane to me. Did you like the way he was running around the bases last night? Did you like the way he was running to get that diving catch in left field that had a 10% catch probability? Why do we do this? Why do we do this? Would the Lion equivalent of Clay Snowden be like, man, that 3 touchdown, 0 interception game for Jared Goff was great, but his delivery was funky? Actually, that probably does. What's the thing? Actually, that probably does happen with a Jared Goff.
Spinning. I mean, it was kind of funny. I love Jared Goff, but it was kind of funny. And he was like, look, Jared Goff throws the most accurate ducks. He was like, his passes be like this. And I think it's just like that. There's going to be certain players here that I think that this is what happens. And that was what my appeal and my plea was like, look, our players are always going to have warts. That's what this that's no longer, oh, y'all have a bankruptcy. Bro, come to the city.
Are you getting levels over there, Chase? I don't know what's
Yeah, I
happening.
mean, everything looks fine over here.
Well, now it's back.
Here.
What's back?
Hey.
Are we back?
Dope.
Yeah.
All right, let me
I think
just
we might be good now.
Let me just read this from Devin the Dog again. 3-for-5 sounds like the best Orioles hitter. All-star, that man. Hey, why do you got to include Orioles, though? That's all that I'm saying. There's no need for that after a 3-for-5 game and after an all-star caliber
Kevin the
season.
dog, you know what you're doing, bro.
DNCENT. Sam, it's an effing fact. Jared Goff is slow with ducks. Cade is slow and unathletic. Green runs funny and has no aura. Love them all, but they're all facts. But you don't need to That's not part of their story. It doesn't matter
Can I ask
whether
you
you
one
think it's true or
question?
not. Like, come on.
Does he run funny? Does
I don't
Riley
give a
Green
shit.
run funny?
It literally doesn't mean anything. If you don't like the way he runs, don't watch him. Turn away when he's running around the bases. Turn away. It does not matter.
You're not going to answer it, are you?
It doesn't matter.
He's not going to answer.
Who cares?
What up, Justin?
I know you're just defending Riley Green, but watch the drive-bys on the social team, man. I mean, that video got over 200,000 views, and it was because of the caption. Like, it's like that for a reason. Carl Armstrong is a better center fielder, but don't be taking drive-bys on the social.
What if I said, though, that Riley Green's the best outfielder? I would get murdered. You can say that about Parker Meadows after one game this year. Yeah, I will take drive-bys. Justin, bad. Travis, bad. Bad social
Not my
team.
guys.
Bad social team.
Hey, I'm jumping in front of y'all, man. I got y'all. I'll take them bullets, man.
Hey, I don't post anything negative about Riley Green. I actually post positive Riley Green at it, so.
Bad social team.
Hey, yo, I take them for my guys, man. And you know what? We got to talk about the Detroit Lions because Brad Holmes, he's trying to take up for his guys. A couple days after the Frank Ragnow retirement news, and a lot of people still heard about that. They do more to bolster this offensive line. And realistically, if you've just been kind of looking, they've been doing this for a couple seasons, making sure that they can have at least depth. You don't quite replace who Frank Ragnow was, but you can bolster it a little bit. So let me tell you guys about what? I got to tell them where they got to get lunch.
Yep.
Buddy's Pizza. You guys already know. Many locations across this great state of pure Michigan, and I need you guys to go and get lunch there today. Why? You can start earning free pizza, free breadsticks. Take advantage of the promotions right now, right in their app. So make sure you go and you download the Buddy's Pizza mobile app. But before you get to that free stuff, make sure you're saving 10% on every order, on your entire order, using the promo code 10MEAL. That is the number 10MEAL, Buddy'sPizza.com.
It's part beauty, part beast. It's for those who dare to be different, for those who want to stand out, and for those who are built for more. The all-new Ineos Grenadier combines strength and style for an unmatched driving experience. Sold exclusively at Feldman Ineos of Waterford.
The boys of summer are here, and Woodward Sports is all over the Motor City with the White Claw Tigers Tour. Come party with Woodward Sports, watch the Tigers, and sip on some White Claw all summer long. The best bars, big giveaways, live events, and a party that only Woodward Sports can throw. Ain't no party like a Woodward Sports party. Join us Friday, June 13th from 5 to 7 with the heavyweights at Nemo's in Corktown for the White Claw Tigers Tour, brought to you by White Claw and Ven Johnson.
You know how some things are so good they should be world famous, but they're not? Our house-made vinaigrette is one of those things. And the antipasto salad, we drizzle it over. Same with our hand-battered chicken tenders. Original recipe soups and pasta sauces. It's almost as if our original, world-famous Detroit-style pizza is mocking them. And that's not very nice.
Hey, Planet Fitness. It's fitness that fits your budget. No matter where you are, there's a Planet Fitness close by. There are more than 50 in Metro Detroit and thousands more throughout the world. At Planet Fitness, you'll experience a squeaky clean gym that has tons of equipment, friendly, knowledgeable staff, and a totally judgment-free atmosphere. Did you know that all Planet Fitness memberships include fitness training for no extra cost? Want all the perks? Upgrade to the PF Black Card and enjoy use of amenities such as unlimited use of the Black Card Spa featuring hydro massage, massage chairs, and total body enhancement, and more, along with access to over 2,500 locations worldwide and unlimited guest privileges. For more information or to join today, visit your local Planet Fitness or planetfitness.com.
What up, though, people? Welcome back to this Wake Up Woodward. We appreciate you guys for being here this morning. Go ahead and smash that like button to support the WUW Crew. Let's run it up and let's see if we can hit that like goal today. And we're talking Lions. It's TLB. Flannel Sam, you want to tell the people what that means?
Talk Lions, biatch.
Word to our brother Matthew Broder. And the Detroit Lions, like we said before the break, they do more to bolster the depth on that offensive line, and they go and they get somebody who is, if you want to say a Brad Holmes guy, this is a Brad Holmes guy. Versatile, and I think that it's more or less what we've seen him try to do. We've also seen him go out there and balance out some of his riskier picks from an availability standpoint with some players that also have a lot of availability. And we know that Trystan Colon just last year played in 17 games and even started some at a position of need right now for the Detroit Lions. He started a couple different positions over his NFL career and adds just a little bit more depth. And this is something that, just yesterday we were talking about, where do we want to see Brad Holmes kind of go and make a move or do something to bolster? And for me, the offensive line, without a shadow of doubt, has been that unit that we've been saying that's been the strength of the team, and you got to continue to keep that as a strength of the team because of everything it means around Jared Goff, everything that it means to their trick plays and the timing, everything that it means to the run game. Obviously, I'm not saying that this signing is one that solves all of that, but it is comforting knowing that he took a step in that direction, and this type of a signing, it's not going to take away from their ability to also do something on the defensive side of the ball too, Flannel.
Yeah, and for the record, after we, just a reminder to the audience, we're going to give our thoughts as a crew, and then we want to hear your thoughts on the Trystan Colon signing. And even if you want to talk about the Tigers, go ahead and call in. We really want to feature you guys prominently. JB, if you could pin this, or Ryan, if you could pin this, 313-552-6322. You can start calling in now or later. You're going to talk to Chase. He'll put you on hold. We'll get to you guys whenever we get a chance, which should be soon.
And I wanted to ask you, because I know where you were yesterday, and there were some people who were where you were. They aligned with you. Hey, look, you got to go. You got to do something along that defensive line. But a day later, we see what Brad does. I'm curious to see where you're at with this thing.
So let me be honest, and God, I missed an opportunity on this. I promise you, and my only source is, trust me, bro, that before, when I was looking at potential guys, because I went over the list of potential free agent centers, and I didn't really like any of them for the most part. But Trystan Colon, even though last year he didn't play center, he played guard, he was the only one of the listed free agent centers as of right now who actually played well last year. He was very good as a guard. He's played all over the field. He's played right guard. He's played left guard. He hasn't played center since 2021, and that's really still the one thing that concerns me a bit, is that every single person in their interior offensive line room has been primarily a guard in their career. And in the case of all the rookies and Christian Mahogany, only been a guard in their college careers. But at least Trystan Colon has some experience at center and has played well recently. So to answer your question, if there was one guy that that was on my radar a tad, it was Trystan Colon. And for whatever purpose that they want to use him in, at least it's a depth veteran presence in the interior offensive line, and at least he knows how to play center at the NFL level. It's not like he has never done it or that he doesn't know how.
But where does this, if you were talking about a little bit of concern yesterday for this offensive line, obviously a day later, I wouldn't call it necessarily a minor move. It is a depth move on an offensive line that is getting a little bit longer in the tooth and just lost some experience in Frank Ragnow. A lot of experience and a lot of talent. Where's that confidence level right now in the offensive line? Do you believe more needs to be done before the season starts, or are you still along the lines of nope, hammer away at that defensive line?
I think this was all that could be done at this moment right now on this offensive line, because he really is the only one. I promise you, if you want to dive into it, feel free. It's not very fun. That actually played well last year, who was listed as a free agent center. I know Brandon Sheriff was somebody who was mentioned who's a free agent guard. But
Mr. Henry said that yesterday.
Yeah, but we're talking about free agent centers. He was the only one who played well last year. I mean, yeah, it's another veteran presence. It's another body. It's somebody who's proven that he can play guard at a decently high level on a relatively small sample size. There is a picture of him playing with the Cardinals. Left guard, right guard, been fine, pretty durable, I'd say, for the most part. And just before, because Kool-Aid, I know you were more bullish than me about augmenting this offensive line. I said yesterday how my biggest goal with the Frank Ragnow money being freed up is to maybe bolster the defensive line, maybe re-sign Z, maybe sign Jadeveon Clowney on a cheap short-term contract that basically makes up for the Frank Ragnow money and strengthens the Lions at a position where they could use maybe one more guy to kind of offset the weakening of the interior offensive line. And I still think that that's possible, but if they were going to do something, this is a move that I can co-sign. I for one, am happy with the Trystan Colon signing, especially since there's no way, and you know where, that it's going to be expensive at all. It's going to be very cheap.
This is interesting, man, because this is presenting a new aspect of what the philosophy is to continue the window of winning for the Detroit Lions. We would have liked to have seen them already push the button on the Super Bowl, which makes a lot of this type of stuff a lot easier to go through and to take. Because right now, all the risk and all the stakes are the highest that they're ever going to be until they go out there and they win this thing. Right now, they're making decisions on which players are going to be here and which players aren't, ones that we've seen be vital to winning. So to see that Brad Holmes is able to navigate that, continue to keep this culture in this room the right way, while you might lose some players, because there's going to be some sacrifices here, while still being able to bring in players that you know are going to fit, not just culture-wise, but also how they contribute. Are they going to be available? Who are these guys going to be to help coach up your young players? Because you went and you've drafted, 4 linemen in the last 2 years that you're hoping at least 2 of these guys pan out and can contribute in major ways, can be at least starter level by the end of the year. Because where are you going from here? Graham Glasgow and Taylor Decker, it's not like these guys are aging in reverse. So that's where, when I'm seeing Brad Holmes doing both sides of the ball, honestly, on a defensive line, there was some minor moves that he made that opened up a lot more for him to be able to go and pay guys. That's where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna trust in you, and I do believe that this move right here makes me a lot more comfortable with his approach to everything he's taken prior, and now it also makes me a whole lot more comfortable with like 5 picks, 5 flames on a fired up meter. I'm pick on defensive line, but Weezy D313 says that there is no defensive line that's available worth signing. So you know who he's taking the stray, the drive-by, the shots at.
And Weezy D313, you've been consistent. I'm not going to kill you for it. It's just a disagreement that we have. I do think that I would be very happy with the Lions re-signing Zadarius Smith or signing Jadeveon Clowney in free agency, but this isn't the day to talk about it. I've already laid out the reasons why yesterday. Before we pass it around to the rest of the room, and by the way, get your calls in if you feel so inclined.
I got one more question for you, too.
All right. I'll present these numbers, then you can ask the question, because I feel like I'd be remiss, because Trystan Colon, he's not a household name. If I didn't do this job, I probably wouldn't have heard of him up until yesterday, but just wanted to give you some numbers, and these are via PFF. So Ryan, if you've got the one that just says Trystan Colon on it, thank you so much. These are just numbers that he's put up. In 2020, he played 127 snaps, all at center, by the way. He had a PFF grade of 67.6, which is good, a run blocking grade of 72, which is, I think it's actually 70, but it's either 70 or 72. That's very good, and 0 sacks allowed. Not a big sample size, but still good numbers. In 2021, at 147 snaps, 115 at center, he had a 62.6 PFF grade, a 74.5 pass blocking grade. The 74.5 pass blocking grade is very good. 1 sack allowed. Those are the 2 seasons in which he played primarily at center. Small sample size, but still, it's experience. 2022, I don't count because I think he played like 49 snaps, but 2023, 322 snaps, 315 at left guard, had a 59.6 PFF grade, which isn't very good, a 69.2 pass blocking grade, which is fine, 2 sacks allowed, and then 2024, this was his best season, and how nice that it was last year. 386 snaps, 372 at right guard, 71 PFF grade, 68.5 run blocking grade, and 0 sacks allowed. And just one more on, go to the one Trystan Colon continued, if you would, Ryan, because I've got a few more that I want to present before I answer the question and pass the rock around to the guys. And this is for his career. For his career, across all positions, 559 pass block snaps, 3 sacks allowed, 6 hits allowed, 25 pressures allowed. And that right there is about the equivalent of 1 full season. And those numbers are not bad at all. Certainly for what he's going to be paid, and certainly for a guard. I would take that any day of the week. But this is spread across 5 years, just so we're fair. And in 469 career run block snaps, he had 3 seasons with a run block grade over 68, 1 over 70. Those are high grades, certainly for what he's going to make, certainly for what's going to be asked of him. And for his career, just to give the center angle, has played 257 career snaps at center. Not a ton, but it's not nothing. It's been a while, but at least he has that experience. At least he's done it at an NFL level. And as I showed you in the previous one, he did not fall flat on his face. He was perfectly serviceable.
It seems like, from an offensive line standpoint, similar move to what Brad Holmes made depth-wise and to bolster the defensive line with what he did with Lopez. So I'm not looking for Colon to come in and be Frank Ragnow, but I am looking forward to him coming in and contributing at a high level for this team and be able to keep us in a position to where we're not seeing a depth or like a drop in the experience, a drop in overall play in terms of what the team is able to do from an execution standpoint. But my question is this: when you look at, this offensive line, obviously I'm wondering what everyone's projected offensive line would be. But when you're kind of looking at this thing, do you believe if these were always the possibilities that Frank could retire, and even that maybe Graham Glasgow is on his last leg, do you believe to this point Brad has done enough? A couple off seasons, a couple drafts, and there's some out there who believe that he didn't do enough to bolster to this point where when I'm looking at it, I believe this is just a notion of what it means to have one of those squads that you're going to have these young players that you're going to have to pay.
All right, so you can argue yes, for sure, because if we're looking at Frank Ragnow's always been a guy who's played through a lot of injuries. A lot of us suspected that his career was going to be cut short, and unfortunately it was. When they re-signed Graham Glasgow back from Denver, he was previously with the Lions, and he went to Denver, then he came back to the Lions. He was coming off of a season in which he played heavy snaps at center. So if Brad Holmes had that in mind of Graham Glasgow being somebody who could, at the very least, even with when Frank Ragnow played, be somebody who could play center and certainly spot start with Ragnow, I think that was a good move at the time. And he certainly had a really good 2023 season, and we know a lot's going to be asked of him in 2025. And as far as the draft goes, I mean, there were a couple offensive linemen in the last couple that, we were really high on and Brad Holmes didn't draft. But that's neither here nor there. The reality is we were all high on Ratledge. Brad Holmes drafted him. Miles Frazier, I thought, was a very good pick in the 5th round. Christian Mahogany had showed some promise in his first year in a couple of starts, and he was a 6th round pick. So, you can argue that he did enough, at least to keep this offensive line very, very good, with the caveat that, Frank Ragnow being lost is always going to be a little bit of it's always going to be a blow to the team. But I think I'm not going to criticize Brad Holmes for what he's done to keep this offensive line moving with Frank Ragnow retired, because Frank Ragnow retiring, that's just it blows. I hate to be that like it blows. He's one of the best centers in the league, but I'm not mad at Brad Holmes at all for what he did or didn't do.
I'm not mad either, because it's easy to be able to talk about this thing in just a vacuum of well, this player was available, this player was available. It's like, no, Brad Holmes has so many different moving parts and pieces, and even other players that he's trying to keep happy. And I believe that he's actually doing a better job. Think about this. We were just sitting here wondering and hoping and making the case for please re-sign Kirby. He deserves the money. But we were all believing and knowing somebody's going to be casualties, some of these young players. But as Brad continues to move, yes, are we going to be hurt sometimes at some of the players that leave? Yeah. Are we going to, when we look at certain situations like a Zeitler, might not be hurt, but you're still like, dang, that's a blow to the offensive line? Yes, but I can tell you this, in comparison to if it was one of the guys he's already paid and some of the guys that we now know are going to get paid, if it was one of them out the door or couldn't afford, that to me is where I would say, okay, Brad Holmes, what are you going to do? These are the ones you're investing in, and all the other parts and pieces you're bringing in are going to have to be guys that can step up, play their role, and honestly support those dogs. That's what we're seeing. He's showing that at least that's going to be his recipe, and that's why I do believe he has done enough to this point. You look at the investments he's made to the offensive line, it's clearly showing that he at least has a philosophy. They're going to be versatile guys that can play all across that line. And it was interesting that when you got a Penei Sewell in here, the first thing you asked him to do was, can you be versatile? So I'm okay with their handling of this thing. It's almost like Dan Campbell. When people talk about these coordinators, I'm like, but he selected the previous coordinators that you guys didn't really like before Dan Campbell selected them. Now we're at a position now where Brad Holmes had a large part to do with what this offensive line could be, and I do believe that he's going to do that again as we move forward.
Yeah, I agree that for the most part, I think Brad Holmes has done all that he can do. If there's one thing, and this is way in the past, I'm going to bring it up once and then I'm not going to bring it up again. If Frank Ragnow, if Brad Holmes knew that Frank Ragnow was going to retire, and I even was about this at the time, Kevin Zeitler signed with Tennessee for 1 year, $9 million. I would have given him one at 10 and tried to get him to stay. Maybe Brad Holmes did, for all we know, but I really value what a Kevin Zeitler did last year. But at the end of the day, I mean, we can say that Frank Ragnow retiring just sucks, and it's not like Brad Holmes didn't do. I mean, we've seen how much he's addressed the interior of the offensive line just in these last couple of drafts. But we also know that it might be a little bit of a rough road at first in terms of gelling in the interior of the offensive line, because Frank really made everything go. He's not going to be there anymore. It's going to be an adjustment, but at least Graham Glasgow is a veteran who has played center before. JB Smoove, Ryan's in there. I'll go to Ryan and then Justin. Ryan, Trystan Colon signing with the Lions. How are you feeling about it? Just initial thoughts.
Pro center retiring, so hopefully the fans aren't going to get on Colon right away. Oh, he's not Ragnow, we can't replace Ragnow. And that's kind of the case. You can't replace Frank Ragnow, let's be real. And there's going to be a lot of pressure on Mahogany, Ratledge, Colon, Glasgow. Those four guys, there's going to be a lot of pressure on. We know what we have with Sewell. But I trust in the O-line coach, Fraley. I think he's a solid offensive line coach. And you also can't forget here, though, that the Lions have a great offense as it is. We have weapons: Laporta, Amon-Ra, J-Mo, Jahmyr Gibbs, Montgomery, Goff. So there's going to be a ton of talent regardless on this offense, but I do see a lot of quick passes, a lot of slants, a lot of hitches. Not necessarily the big plays, and I know that's the exciting part, but just to give the offensive line some time, Goff to trust in everyone, I see a lot of quick plays and just not the home run balls right away.
Hey, and that's, you know what? I think that was very well said. Justin, Trystan Colon signing, is it something you're excited about? Was it a good move? Because I don't know how excited you can be about Trystan Colon, but do you think it's going to turn out to be a good move?
I think it was a necessary move, that's
Fair.
for sure. I think you needed
really
to
good
add
word.
that depth to this rotation that is honestly an unknown. I think from left guard to right guard and center, you have a complete unknown there. You don't know who's going to start there. You don't know what the rotation's going to be. When Graham Glasgow stepped in for Frank Ragnow in the very limited time that he did, they dropped from top 5 in interior pressure allowed to the bottom third of the league. So I think that there is a pause for concern when it comes to this offensive line now without Frank Ragnow. Frank Ragnow being able to just take on nose tackles on single team assignments instead of having to have a guard help him on double teams all the time was a big deal for this offensive line. When you were able to put in Christian Mahogany in a role where all he had to do was just help Sewell and help Frank Ragnow, that's going to be completely different than what he's asked to do this year. He was just asked to make chip blocks and help them finish blocks. Now he's going to be asked to have one-on-one assignments, and that's going to be something different for him. And now I'm at the point where I'm thinking, do the Lions even have the best offensive line in the NFC North?
Oh! Hey, Justin.
Seriously though, what the Minnesota Vikings have done to their offensive line this offseason, adding Ryan Kelly, adding the rest of the pieces to their line, they may have their offensive line isn't an unknown. Ours is. Our interior 3 offensive linemen are all unknowns right now. You don't know what it's going to look like. You don't know how they're going to gel together, but you do know that the Vikings offensive line is, every single one of them is a bona fide NFL starter at their position, and a lot of them elite at their position.
But you know what?
I think that is a very, very interesting thing to think about when it comes to the Lions versus the Vikings offensive line play.
And you know what, though? This is where I believe it was very important now. Very important for the Detroit Lions to have not just retained, but did what they had to do to promote Hank Fraley. Offensive
100%.
coordinator, offensive line coordinator, and now run game coordinator too. And we know that John Morton says he's going to rely on him as it relates to building their offensive plan for this coming season. That, to me, was one of the most crucial things that this team did, even over retaining Calvin Shepard, who we knew for years was going to be the guy. On the offensive side, we continue to say, well, there's Hank Fraley, there's Tanner Engstrand. There was a couple other, there was another name and some from the outside that people had. Keeping him in-house when you are going to have so many or some questions on your offensive line, that to me was one of the most crucial things. And you're talking about strategy, because what did we see them be able to do on the defensive side of the ball when they lost everything? Those coaches came up with the plans. Those coaches came up with the strategy, and they were able to go out there and manufacture what they needed. Now you're talking about a Lions offense that cannot afford to be boxed into what intern Ryan was saying. And I can see it being that to start. Quicker passes and screens just to try and get a rhythm while the offensive line is trying to get it together, because you cannot have a golf under duress. That will spell disaster for the Detroit Lions. But for them to be their best, they are going to have to be a team that finds their rhythm to be able to play at all three levels of the field from an offensive standpoint. And that, to me, is where Hank Fraley is going to have to be effectively on his A game, similar to what we saw out of AG and Calvin Shepard last year, to be able to manufacture pressure. Hank Fraley is going to have to be in his bag this year, despite losing Frank Ragnow and having a couple of those other players a little bit longer in the tooth and some young guys. He's going to have to be the one now to make one of the biggest differences from a strategy standpoint, to make sure this team doesn't have that dip. This offense still has to be one of the best in all of football. This offensive line still has to be the best in the North. I know, I feel the doubts that do, Justin. I get it. But they can't afford to not be. That's just the point of where we're at now. And that's why I do got a lot of confidence in Hank Fraley, who's, to this point, done a really good job.
Hey, Justin, man, coming in here and dropping bombs. Hey, you know what? I'm not mad at it, though. I understand.
It's fair.
I understand what he's saying in that regard. And Justin, I'll say this. I'm happy. I'm just happy that you're not here acting like Frank Ragnow's loss was just, next man up, we're fine. That's really what I've really rallied
that's my big issue. And to clarify for the chat, because I just took a peek in there and I was getting killed a little bit.
Are they happy with you?
No, they're not. And that's fair. It's fine. I just think that we do need to respect the Vikings. The Vikings made significant upgrades on both their lines this season, and I think that there is a pathway for them to be better than they were last year with J.J. McCarthy. I'm not scared of them. I don't think they're a better team than the Lions. I do think the Lions still win the NFC North, but I do think that Vikings could be better than they were last year. Not record-wise, because their schedule is tougher, but in terms of them as a team, and if they could actually make some noise, I think they can. And I think they're the second best team in the division.
This is, and just to give some merit to what Justin is saying, because you went out on a limb, and I'm not mad at you for it. If we're ranking just the tackles on the teams, like the Lions and Vikings tackles, I would say Sewell 1, Darashaw 2, Brian O'Neill 3, Taylor Decker 4. I think the Lions obviously have the best one and the worst of really good tackles in terms of starting tackles in terms of the Lions and the Vikings. But I've, even going back to last year, I've always had a lot of respect for Christian Darashaw and Brian O'Neill. I think Will Fries is the best guard out of both teams. I think Ryan Kelly is the best center out of both teams. I think what's really going to tip the scales is that when you look at both of their depth charts right now, which, you know, it's obviously very fluid. It's not even training camp. You see that both O-lines have rookies on it. You see the Vikings have Donovan Jackson, and the Lions, they've got Tate Ratledge, and you know that Mahogany's young, and Miles Frazier is young, and now we got Trystan Colon. I think what could tip the scales in either team's favor is if Penei Sewell takes it up to another level and just has an alien season, which he's already had, but if he continues to have an alien season, that's going to be a factor. But let's see how the rookies on both teams play. If Donovan Jackson comes right in for the Vikings and is serviceable and turns into be very, very good, that Vikings O-line is going to be scary. But I also think, and I've been very consistent about this, that Tate Ratledge is the type of player, if you let him play guard, and I know it's going to be tougher that he doesn't have Frank Ragnow anchoring the middle. I do think Tate Ratledge is the type of talent to where he can be a day one starter and be very, very good. The point I'm trying to make is that what could tip the scales is that both teams have rookies. Let's see how the rookies play.
But, and another thing, too, I judge also offensive line based on what they can present as an offense overall, as well as who you're facing. And that, to me, is what matters more than anything when we are taking into consideration when you're ranking these offensive lines. Even though they're going to have to do a better job at stepping up with the loss of Frank Ragnow, I still believe that the dynamic aspect of the Detroit Lions offense, the high IQ play of a Jared Goff, being able to keep them off base anytime Jahmyr Gibbs is in the backfield, you want to be able to over-pursue? You really want to be hot on that? Because then that's Jahmyr Gibbs legitimately to the house. So to me, they don't have to necessarily have as much talent or make as many one-to-one improvements as some of the other teams. They just have to make sure that what the improvements they've made can continue to keep their offense as efficient as we've seen. And we've seen them. Oh, Taylor Decker's not there for a game. Graham Glasgow's not there for a game. We've seen them play in these positions without these players, and what the offense do, though. As long as the system's in place and the players that are in position step up and do their job, we've seen them overcome. Now, the challenge this time is going to be, it's not for a game or two or three. Now you're talking about a full season of no Frank Ragnow being there. Now you're talking about a full season in which if you do now have an injury to one of, or if they miss a game to one of Graham Glasgow or Taylor Decker, that's where a little bit of my antennas of concern go up just a little bit and the Kool-Aid starts to go down. That's where you're hoping that those depth pieces, who you're already asking to play a whole lot more, can they do at all? If the Lions, knock on wood, find themselves in a position where they have to really rely on those guys, are they going to be able to run back that success on the offensive line that we saw them have on the defensive line to be able to overcome? It wasn't to the same level. We know that the healthy defensive line would have been absolutely nasty. But yeah. I do understand where Justin is coming from, and I think it is a fair point to be able to say, hey, this way, that's what kind of prompted my question about Brad Holmes. Because we know that there were some players that he could have drafted, some players maybe he could have went after in the off seasons, knowing that this offensive line has been looking at their veterans on that for a couple years. We were wondering last year if certain players are going to play. And that's where I asked the question, like, did he do enough? I do believe he did enough. And that's why I do look at Hank Fraley. But, you know, I think Justin raised actually a really, really good question.
Basically, I think the bottom line is Brad Holmes did enough to do something that you can't actually prepare for. Like, you can do as much as you can, but you can't prepare.
That's a good way to put it.
You can't plan on replacing Frank Ragnow. You just have to do the best that you can and hope that as the season goes along, as seasons, plural, go along, because you've got young players that the guys develop and they can continue to gel, and that by the end of the season, come playoff time, you know, the Ratledges, the Fraziers, Colon, Graham Glasgow, they're playing at a high level because the Lions are sure as heck going to need them. And this is a good segue because Ed O'Neill asks, what are we talking about over the phone? Well, technically you can bring up anything, but Trystan Colon got signed. We want to see how you guys feel about that. If you want to talk about the Lions as a whole, if you want to tell Justin why he's wrong about the Vikings O-line potentially being better, you can do that. I don't think Justin has an earpiece, so he might be able to go get one. He might be able to hear you. Maybe you can argue with him on that. But yeah, we're opening up the phones on the other side of the break. I believe we've got one on the line already. So yeah, let's say hello to some friends and come back to some phone calls.
Let's go.
What do we got?
Are we on merch?
Oh wow, we're way behind.
Merch, yeah. We'll double up. We'll triple up on the way back.
Sports.com, click under the tab shop. So when you're walking down the street or going to any of those White Claw tours with Spenny, and we got Kool-Aid yesterday, he was rocking a Cade shirt from the Woodward Sports Shop. So if you're walking around the city of Detroit and someone goes, damn, where did he get that shirt? You can tell them that you went to WoodwardSports.com and clicked under shop.
Big Big injuries, big news. Twice a week, Dr. Jeff Pierce from Michigan Sports and Spine joins Woodward Sports Network for the Injury Insider Report. Big D Energy Tuesdays at noon, and Armani and Edwards with Maz Thursdays at 3:30. Get expert analysis and in-depth breakdowns on the latest sports injuries from the man trusted by top athletes in the community, like D-Mac. Whether it's the Lions, Pistons, Tigers, or Red Wings, Dr. Pierce talks us through it all. Don't miss the Injury Insider Report with Dr. Jeff Pierce, your go-to source for understanding the impact of injuries on the games and players we love. Only on Woodward Sports Network. Scan the QR code on the screen or go to MichiganSportsandSpine.com to see if Dr. Jeff Pierce can help you.
Why do we fight? We fight to protect the innocent, to hold the powerful accountable, to bring the oppressors to justice. Why do we fight? We fight to secure and preserve our civil liberties, to get each and every one of our clients the justice they deserve, and to make the lives of real people just like you whole again. ThenFights.com.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
Head to WoodwardSports.com and click on Shop. Get the latest in Detroit sports apparel and exclusive Woodward Sports gear. WoodwardSports.com can get the whole team outfitted. Love the Pistons, Red Wings, and Tigers? We got something for you, too. Shop online at WoodwardSports.com.
All right, Feldman Chevrolet. You can get a 2025 Chevy Silverado for just under $99 a month, or you can get a 2025 Chevy Equinox for only $259 a month. Come visit any of Feldman's 5 Chevy locations in Novi, Highland, New Hudson, Livonia, or Lansing.
We are back at his Wake Up Woodward, and that is Lunch on the Back Wall Buddies. Make sure that you guys find one of their 22 locations in the great state of here, Michigan. Man, I think that is going to literally be my lunch today. But we're back. We're talking Lions, and not just our opinions. We want to be able to hear from you guys, too. And there's a whole lot of things on the docket, but obviously the main topic is the Detroit Lions and Brad Holmes going to bolster things on that offensive line. And we want you guys' thoughts on their signing of Trystan Colon. And I've seen a lot of different comments in the chat about it. Some funny, funnier than others, and some of them straight to the point as it relates to how this impacts him. And we want everything. And if there's other stuff you want to call in on, because Justin raised up a very, very good point, and wonders if the Detroit Lions offensive line is still the king of the North as it relates. It used to be without fail. We knew that offensive line is special. It's elite. It's one of the top units in all of football. And now it is probably a little more questionable than over the last couple of years. So, hey, we got a couple callers on already? Yeah, we got one out there, 2 on now. Let's rock. Let's go to the first
We got
one.
a What Up Though with Detroit Gunny.
Yeah, what up, though? Detroit Gunny is our first caller. Should be live with the guys now. What up, though, Detroit Gunny?
What up, though?
Thanks for having me. It's 6 a.m. here on the West Coast, also known as the Best Coast. Got my first cup of coffee.
It's a little distorted.
My colon.
Yeah, it's a little distorted. We're going to put you on hold and try and get you back on. If you can call right back, what up, though, with Detroit Gunny, we'll try and get you right back online. We'll try and take the second one and see.
They're not on anymore. I'm not sure if it was we just had someone else call in, but
hey, 313-552-6322, and definitely go ahead and give the window, the program, just restart that window, and it should clear some stuff. But we'll get you back on the line because I am intrigued to hear what the people think.
And make sure you're not listening to the YouTube when you're calling in.
That also gives audio issues.
Yeah, and Speakeasy. Shout out to Speakeasy. He says, sounds like this guy is Joe Sexy, a robot. Shout out to Valini, because that's another one of them phrases I heard him talk about back in the day when Michigan used to go to Pound Town on Michigan State. I do. I'm sorry. It's just a day of strays. I'm sorry, JB Smooth. I feel for you over there. But you know what? Voice the reason why we're getting these phones back, and I want the people to call in again, 313-552-6322. Listen, where you at with this? He posed a really, really good kind of question on, Brad Holmes' offensive line. I want to know, what's your approval rating over how he's handled things to this point, man? If you're talking about President Holmes, they get approval ratings on different things. You got the offensive line. You've known for a couple years. You got to start to prepare for this to be able to definitely keep that Super Bowl window open. How you feeling, brother?
I mean, in Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, we trust. So you got to kind of put faith in them as well, too. I think they're seeing Trystan Colon as someone that is a depth piece. It's good that you're signing him right now in week 2 of OTAs, especially given the news with Ragnow leaving as well, too. So he's going to be able to compete and have time to gel with, Jared Goff and a lot of this offensive line as well, too. I do like that the man is versatile and not only at center but guard as well, too. So he's going to have some opportunity there. It all just depends on how things work out with the rest of the line. So I'm not going to lose my faith in him, although this is going to be a huge drop-off from Ragnow because no one compares to Frank Ragnow as it is. The time and the toughness that this man has put in, but still at the same time, we got to move forward and keep moving on. And hopefully, this can be a decent replacement.
Hey, I hear Kavasi Chase over there in the sound booth talking to people right now. When we get an opportunity, I definitely want to be able to get a caller on. If you want to send somebody live, we can do that. Let's go. Gunny's back on. Let's rock, man.
All right, Gunny, can you hear everybody?
Yes, I can.
Hey, let's rock. We can hear you, brother. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, no worries. 6 a.m. on the West Coast, also known as the Best Coast. Got my high octane fuel going through me right now. My colon's going to be activated soon, but things are going great. Hey, so what's today? June 5th? Are we freaking out about the offensive line already? I mean, come on. We have the best offensive line coach in Hank Fraley, right? Are we not going to practice all summer?
Talk to me about it.
Are we not going to get ready? All right, look, you have Oos, Big Peninsula. You don't think he's going to put his arms around those young guys and get them ready from day one? Look, Mahogany, he's basically a rookie, right? But we all saw that mean streak. We know he's going to be ready. You pick Rattlers for a reason. I mean, I trust in Brad and Dan as we all do, right? And look, Tate was the one they targeted. They had an inkling in their mind that Frank wasn't coming back. Whether Tate's the center for the future or not, that remains to be seen. But Graham, I think we kind of know what we got with him. But I think he's gonna have a bounce back season. You got the whole off season to get healthy. And you don't think that he's got a fire lit underneath him, hearing all the critics out there? So, I mean, again, I'm not worried about the offensive line. If you want to say the Vikings have a better offensive line, I think 2 of their starters are coming off injury, if I'm not mistaken. So, again, it's going to be who's healthy and how quickly they can gel. So, I just look forward to the competition because there's guys that, we've had Coyote for how long?
Yep.
And is he going to ever step up? Colby, is he going to step up?
And Gunny, just real quick, too, I want to ask you, just before Flannel has something, too, what is your approval rating of the offensive line right now, man? Where you at? Where's that confidence level for you? If you could put a percentage on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put it at an 85.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't lose an all-pro center like Frank and not have a step back. But, again, I believe in Dan Campbell, MCDC, and the staff he puts together. So, I mean, he wouldn't have promoted, Hank to the the assistant head coach now, I believe, along with the offensive line duties. So, again, in Brad and Dan, we trust. I mean, we lose the coordinators. It doesn't really matter to me because, again, Dan selected them to be the coordinators. So whoever he selected this time, I still have confidence in them.
No, thank you. What up, Joe, with Detroit. Gunny, calling in all the way from the West Coast. I know it's probably an early wake-up for you. And you brought up a couple of things that I want to respond to. First off, good on you for pointing out that, yes, Will Fries is coming off of a season-ending broken leg, and Christian Darrisaw is coming off of a season-ending torn ACL. That's fair. If we're going to talk about Lions players coming back from injuries and maybe it being a little bit tough. The Vikings have those issues as well, so that is 100% fair and a good on you. The one thing, though, that I don't think me personally that I'm freaking out about the offensive line. I refuse to live in a world where I can't mourn Frank Ragnow's loss for just a couple of days. I will not live in that world. I cannot live in that world.
We've done it for less players.
That's basically what I'm doing right now. I'm just acknowledging that Frank Ragnow was one of the best at his position for a very, very long time and that it's going to be tough. That does not mean that I don't think this offensive line can be good. It does not mean that I don't think that they will gel as the season goes on and hopefully be at their best come playoff time. It's just Frank Ragnow was an all-time great Lion, and nothing can really prepare a team or even fans for that. Even if you try, it's still Frank freaking Ragnow.
And I'm not trying to freak out, and I'm not freaking out. I have faith that Hank Fraley is going to figure this out and make it so that the Lions' offensive line is ready to go. But when we're looking at an interior offensive line that lost one of the best centers in the NFL, a Pro Bowl left guard, and then a complete question mark at right guard, like, it is okay to have a little moment and pause that, okay, maybe this offensive line isn't as dominant as it has been in the last couple of years. That's okay to have. But I don't think anyone in this room is freaking out over the fact that the Lions' offensive line won't be good. I think everyone can say that they're going to be good. It's just, are they going to be as great as they were?
We're
Are
talking
they
about
going
Super Bowl now?
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah, we're talking about being the best of the best. Like, our offensive line for the last 3 years has been the best in football by a margin. Like, everyone in the league knew that our offensive line was the best offensive line in football. Now we aren't going to have that title as the unanimous best offensive line in football.
It was one of the top units in football, period.
Yes.
Nate Sewell pops up as one of the best players in football, period.
Yeah, and like, you are losing, like, it's you're going from having a top 2 center in football to having a mid-level center who's unproven at the position. Yeah, there has to be some pause there, especially because Frank Ragnow would take single team assignments, and now you're probably going to have to change the assignments to double teams to help out these rookies and these inexperienced players in comparison to Frank Ragnow.
Right. John Fisher, okay, because I know we got more people on the phone. We're going to get to them. John Fisher. This caught my attention. While we're mourning Frank still, you guys know it's all black. Look, Frank Ragnow was one of the best at his position. His position, though, is largely unimportant in the scope of football. IOL is the least important part of a football team. Flannel.
It's the center is the only player that touches the ball on every single.
His retiring was like national news. We're in the freaking social media and doing things, and we're seeing every national, like ESPN and NFL, everyone's talking about this being a big loss for the Detroit Lions.
Yes, calls out the protections. The captain, John Fisher, that's all-time coping. But, as I've always said, you leave the Lions, there's a segment of this fan base that's like, they weren't good anyway. They were always a bum. Don't be like John Fisher.
All right, hey, guys, let me just wrap this up. Look, Frank Ragnow lost. It's huge, right? Imagine if that would have been like week 5 or 6 or 7 that he goes down and he misses the rest of the season. What we're going to do? We're going to slide Glasgow over anyway, right? He is our most experienced center at the moment, and I believe he gives us the best shot going forward. So we have the experience, with Glasgow, where he's played center, about half of his NFL career, and that's going to bode well for the play calls, the protections, etc. So just wrap that up. You're not trying to gloss over the Ragnow loss, because look, it is huge. He is all pro, and your body can't take it. You can't take it. He knew that he wasn't going to be able to play to the level that he wanted to without going through that much pain again. So look, we got to respect the decision, but we need to move on. Look, like I said, we can say it till we're blue in the face. Trust in Brad, trust in MCDC, trust that we're going to continue to have Sonic and Knuckles bust through the line and do their thing. Look, I'm not worried about that. So again, whether you want to say we're in the top 10, fine. Top 10 offensive lines can still win the Super Bowl. So I mean, there's only, I think, 2 players that we can't afford to lose this year, and I'm knocking on my desk right now. we already know who they are. So, you know, last year we lost Hutch, and everyone thought the sky was falling. But somehow, some way, we still won 15 games somehow, some way. I mean, it caught up with us in the end. You know, that Washington game still makes me sick to my stomach, and you know, it's just.
Yeah,
we can go down that rabbit hole another time.
I 100% get where you're at here, and I believe. Thank you for the call. What up, though, with Detroit Gunny? Hey, one of the people who's just been consistently supporting us. Thank you for getting up in the morning and tapping in with Wake Up. Well, we're going ahead and smash that like button, chat fam, if you haven't got the opportunity to. But I agree with you, man. Yeah, you seem cool, calm, and collected about it. And it's largely because of what the Detroit Lions have done over the years to overcome a lot of things that were supposed to knock them off. Now we're sitting here, though, at a position to where, in the past, the other units that have overcome, they weren't considered the best teams in all of the best unit in all of football, or the best unit on the team. This is a situation where people have consistently stated that you have to have this perfect line, this perfect protection around Jared Goff. And so that's where I do, even as a Kool-Aid drinker, it's something that just does creep into the back of my mind just a little bit when you start to talk about the loss of a Frank Ragnow, because I'm serious. If teams believe and start to target, well, is it more important for us to send 3 at Hutch? Is it more important for us to send two and three players on Panay's side or the other side, or is it more important for us to get a rush up the middle because we know that we can? I don't even want that to be a strategy. I don't even want that on the minds of teams, but I do believe that they're going to test now whoever is at that center position, no matter who it is, even if it is Graham Glasgow, because why would you not? And if it is him at center, then you put yourself in a position to where, realistically, if they get any type of pressure on Jared Goff, are we sure, if this becomes a reoccurring thing, are we sure that we're going to get top 5 MVP candidate? And I think that's where a lot of Justin's concerns lie.
That's a very good question. I mean, it's a question that hopefully doesn't become too much of a concern in the regular season. But yeah, if you're a team, and we'll get to the next caller in just like 20 seconds or so. But if you're a team facing the Lions, especially early in the year, and you don't test the Lions interior of the offensive line, that's malfeasance. But fortunately, we've known organizations and coaching staffs like the Bears, for example, to be malfeasant. So maybe they will continue to be malfeasant. Maybe Ben Johnson can't coach as a head coach. We shall see. I'm sure a lot of you suspect that that's going to be the case. But Chase, who do we have next on the line, good sir? All right. That's all right. We're like, there's a lot that goes into that. But it's going to be something. Like I said, that's where, at the end of the day, the beginning of the season is really where I'm looking at the Lions going through some growing pains on the O-line and hopefully being able to withstand that okay.
What do you think about that strategy, though? Because I do believe that they have everything they need to go out there and just kind of run the offense as normal. It would be interesting to see where the timing is, because we saw last year with the healthy offensive line, this team still took 5 or 6 weeks, and it was on a dot. Like Dan Campbell literally called it. He said, it's going to take us about week 5 or 6. You guys are going to look out there and see effectively Detroit Lions offense. And like clockwork, it was that. Before that time, we saw them doing and trying different things that didn't quite fit the identity that we believed fit their skill set and their players. And as we saw them get beyond that Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, they looked a whole lot more like themselves. So that's something that's really what I'm looking at the most, is this offense one that, the offensive line, is it good enough to keep the offense overall as one of the best in all of football? That, to me, is what ultimately matters more than anything. But we got another call on the line, brother? Yeah. Hey, let's rock. Thank you guys for calling again.
Jerome.
313-552-6322. What up, though, Jerome?
Hello, can I speak to Kool-Aid?
Hey! Good. What up, though, Jerome? It's Kool-Aid.
What's the matter, Kool-Aid? You can't call nobody.
What'd you say?
I said, what's the matter, Kool-Aid? You can't call nobody.
Who I gotta call? Who I gotta call?
You gotta call your Uncle Rome, because Jerome in the house. Ooh, ooh. I just called in here to talk about the defensive line.
Listen
to me now. Listen to me now. You got Frank Ragnar. He gone. Too bad. So sad. But listen to me. Jadeveon Clowney, that boy bad. Zadarius Smith, that boy bad. I need Brad Holmes to go ahead and sign one of the two, or maybe both of them.
You know what?
Because if we can get to the quarterback for the quarterback sack, you already know these young punks breath smelling like Similac.
Get me fired up, man, because I'm already there. Look, Brad Holmes did what he had to do to address that offensive line. He got some more depth there. I'm comfortable. I am comfortable there. But now, like I said earlier in the show, bro, go out there and pick. Let's make this happen. I know that Flannel Sam is somebody who's definitely for the Zadarius Smith or Jadeveon Clowney experience. Hey, you already know, man. I wanted to see Mr. Zadarius Smith with Aiden Hutchinson. And you know what, man? Shout out to Uncle Jerome, too. Something tells me Uncle Jerome could have a career in this media business.
Or something tells me that Uncle Jerome is Uncle Jerome.
I'm going to tell you one more thing. If we get Zadarius and Jadeveon, it's going to be like 76. You know what 76 was, Kool-Aid?
Talk to me.
76 was my year to chill in my Coupe de Ville because I'm an old school player.
Let's go,
From
bro.
the Himalayas. You already know
You got
what
some
it is,
shades
boy.
on. What's up? You got a Kango on. Hey, Jerome, you got a Kango on backwards right now, don't you? You got a Kango on backwards right now, don't you? Don't you, Uncle
Hey, you
Jerome?
know what it is. I got my Jerry Curl wet. It look wet, but it ain't really wet. It's dry. You know what I'm talking about?
Shout out to
I
Colin
got my
Jerome.
gold in my mouth like I'm from the South.
The Jerry curl looks wet, but it's
But
not
I'm
really
talking
wet.
about the Lions while I'm sitting on my couch. You already know what it is, young boy.
Hey, dog, this is legendary, man. Shout out to Uncle Jerome, man. Call back anytime. Uncle Jerome was welcome anytime, but I want to ask you, Flannel Sam.
Yeah.
What you think about Uncle Jerome?
I mean, Zadarius or Clowney, I would be. I've still been very bullish about that. And you know, like I said, it's not the end of the world if they don't, but I think that would be a good. Either of them would be good additions to this team, especially because even with Trystan Colon, I think the interior offensive line is going to have some growing pains at the beginning of the year. So yeah, Caller Jerome, I love your enthusiasm unknown to mankind, but
Caller Jerome trying to get some merch, man.
Are you Jerome though? That's the big question. There's some people in the chat that have some doubts.
Can we get Uncle Jerome live in studio one day?
Hey, yeah.
Can we?
We need
Please.
to. JB,
please.
hook that up for us.
The real player from the Himalayas.
We gotta get that in studio one day, man.
Hey, all right. We got Ed O'Neill. Shout out Ed O'Neill on the line. Is he up right now?
Word just up, for Ed O'Neill. Can you hear the guy?
Ed O'Neill.
Hey, let's percolate.
Paging Ed O'Neill. Can you hear us, Ed O'Neill?
Hello?
Ed O'Neill.
What up, though?
Hello.
Hey, brother. So you already know it's
Good
about to
morning,
be a fire
guys.
call. Good morning, brother. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you for having me. So first I want to start off by saying Frank Ragnow has been my all-time favorite Lion. I am a newer fan, just since 2014. And he embodies everything that I am. So I am going to miss him. Okay? But the reason why I decided to call was because I have my questions about this team winning the Super Bowl before Frank retired, and I still have them after he retired. And all of my questions have everything to do with the defense and nothing to do with the offense.
Okay.
Now it is going to be harder because, unfortunately, we do not have a mobile quarterback to offset, the interior of our offensive line. And I know Sam loves stats, but last year was floated around a lot that our pass blocking on the O-line was about league average. So, and that was with having Frank. So I don't know how much of a drop-off we could go from league average on the pass blocking. And this is why I wholeheartedly believe our offense should play in the preseason. I'm not saying they should play an entire game, but they should at least play a quarter. And maybe even 2 quarters, or like 2 quarters from 2 separate games. Because we have a whole new offensive coordinator. We practically have a new starting O-line, with three basically new starters. And while I want and I wholeheartedly believe that the way to win the Super Bowl is to have the defense be the star of your team, we cannot start off 0-2. That cannot happen. Not in the division. Not because we play Green Bay and Chicago, and basically because I dislike those teams and I don't want to start off 0-2.
Sure.
And that's why I think that our offense should play in the preseason. But ultimately, I am open to having my questions answered, and changing my opinion on the team on whether or not they can win the Super Bowl. But that is all defensively, because I don't think, as much as I love me some Aiden Hutchinson, I don't think him is enough. And I want it to be enough, but we will see. Anyways, thank you guys for taking my call. Like I said, Frank is my all-time favorite Lion. Next is Sam Laporta. We will see, but I think we should play in the preseason. Thank you for taking my call.
Ed O'Neill, thank you for calling in. That was a deep call, and there's some things here like we're gonna have to give a week to the defensive line, like we've done with the offensive line here. Obviously, the news it dictates it, but it seems like he's just wants to see the offense get some chemistry. He wants to see them go back to what they used to when
Hunter,
preseason we would see them at least the offense play at least one game where we knew, okay, they're going to get 2 or 3 quarters. And he wants to see them go out there and try and get chemistry. I don't know how much chemistry you get in that one preseason game, but I feel I understand the sentiment.
It's weird.
I get it.
If you ask any of the seasoned vets in this business, like Neil and Sean Beligian, for example, they will tell you that preseason is meaningless until they're blue in the face. And obviously with preseason, there's a risk. Like imagine they do play snaps in the preseason and even one of their most important players goes down with like an injury that'll cost them like 3 or 4 weeks. That's the one thing that gives me some sort of trepidation. But however, to Ed O'Neill's point, the offense did start last season slow. I would say the first 3 games, they didn't look quite like themselves. I believe that was the Rams, the Buccaneers, and the Cardinals. So I get what you're saying. And, yeah, if you start the season sleepwalking, there is a danger of starting. I wouldn't say 0-2, but maybe 1-2. I get your sentiment, but I also don't know if I want to risk injury.
And I know you said with that Frank Ragnow injury, it makes it more possible in your world, in your mind, that they could go 1-1. I still expect them to start off strong in the division and 2-0 to bolster the start of their season. But these are valid things because the other aspect of it that Ed O'Neill brought up was his concern with the defense. And if they're going to be able to do enough to manufacture pressure beyond just Aiden Hutchinson, it is whatever Aiden Hutchinson, whatever he brings to the table, is that enough? We thought that it was going to be, okay, finally just enough with Aiden Hutchinson and Zadarius Smith, which was our option like, F, down the line. It wasn't A, B, C, D, or E. And so when we got him, we were like, hey, we got him under control. We can't wait to see what this is going to look like. This is going to be the best bookend that he's played with other than like Super Saiyan rookie James Houston. So, this was something that when he's not there, it's just like, goodness gracious, I get it. You talk about no Zadarius Smith, and you're talking about back-to-back, no Zeitler, no Ragnow. This is where I don't. Anybody who has any concerns or any questions, like from that dude Justin to Ed O'Neill, I actually say, you know what, maybe it's a perfect time to talk about these things, especially as Lions fans, and break it down. I see Tabitha Gable. She's super stoked, not scared. And that, to me, is where, again, there are things I want them to do. I want them to go out there and just bring back Zadarius Smith. It feels like it's the easy thing to do, especially if you have any concerns or worries about this defensive line.
Yeah, I 100% understand your sentiment. And, man, John Fisher is really a piece of work in the chat.
Oh,
obviously,
put something else in there?
Hey, obviously we value your opinion, but I got to ask a question, and you guys can drop this in the chat. This goes to John Fisher and Terrell Lamar, although John Fisher is way worse today. Terrell Lamar, you're still a valued member. John Fisher, I'm not so sure. Let me ask you this. When Do you want to and this goes to John Fisher and Terrell Lamar, do you guys want to retroactively take away Frank Ragnow's All-Pros? When he gets inducted into the Pride of the Lions, will you punch air? Will you cry? Will you protest? Because that's how you guys are acting. That's how you guys are acting, John Fisher. If Frank Ragnow is so unimportant, hey, protest his eventual induction into the Pride of the Lions. I'm sure you will.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm seeing this, man. The chat is alive. I like how the callers are doing a lot to influence what goes on in the chat, too. So shout out to, again, what up, though, with Detroit Gunny. He says, Hutch is enough on the defensive line. He has been built himself back up with the help of the best trainer in Jim, I don't want to say it wrong, but Kilbasso from Impact Sports. And I do apologize if I got that name wrong. Michael Evans, he says he cannot call, but he does have a question. With the extra cap space and probably knowing Frank was retiring, are the Lions waiting to see what happens with Trey Hendrickson contract, making a move or making a move on Big Z, or before making a move on Big Z? I think that Brad Holmes just keeps himself available for all roles. When we heard that he was talking and knocking on the door of some of those other big name players, it was just like, okay, that's a little bit of a break, or a regression from the means of what we know Brad Holmes to be. So what I've known him to be now, over at least the times we've seen him, is somebody who's able to be able to play, and no matter what the court is. So we still got some.
Yeah, we have one more caller on the line, Hunter. If we want to hop to Hunter.
Yeah, we'll hop to Hunter, and that will close out calls for today. But remember, we're doing this on a lot more regular basis. So if you didn't get a chance to call in today, call in another time. And thank you guys all for calling in. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, this has been epic, man. A couple of nice days of callers, and it's been some really, really good debate, as well as some points they've raised. What up, though? We got Hunter now?
Yeah, Hunter. You should
what
be
up, though,
live
Hunter?
with the guys. Can you hear us?
Thank you for calling, brother.
Yo, how we doing?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm great. And in the life of a young Lions fan, this is the time to be alive.
Let's go. All right, so you already starting this call, getting me fired up. Take it away, Hunter.
All right. Hey, man, just a quick couple questions. And I'm going to start this off by saying I got a lot of love in the Lions and a lot of loyalty with them. Brad Holmes has done his thing. I trust Tate Rutledge. I trust him for the whole season. I know he's a rookie, unproven, but, man, I stand by the Lions, and I trust him, and I just want to make sure you guys are with me on this.
Yeah.
Whew. I like Tate Rutledge. I like whatever Brad Holmes was whatever role they believe he's ready to play this year. It's interesting, though, to see all the beat writers are saying the same stuff. What are the options right now with Frank gone? And you saw it in a lot of the articles with Trystan even being signed. I keep seeing the same stuff. They can move Graham. They've been getting Tate ready. Or there's some history there with Trystan Colon. So you know what? In terms of having faith, if Brad does, that is something that we should look at and say, you know what? We got some faith that is a player that's going to be able to prove himself at least worthy to step into that.
Oh, yeah, and in the second, when it comes to Tate Ratledge, as the process went along, he was somebody that I absolutely advocated for the Lions potentially drafting, 100%. And I was happy when they did. And honestly, Tate Ratledge, even though I don't necessarily want him starting at center as a rookie immediately, at guard, I think he has a shot. I think he's a first-round athlete that got taken in the late second round, and I think he had first-round style accolades at Georgia and was taken in the second round. He could ultimately become the best pick from this draft. It wouldn't shock me at all. So, yes, take all on the Ratledge train.
Ooh, I like that, man.
Heck yeah. Ultimately, for the past 3 years, I think he's been cooking, and I got no reason to not doubt him or not trust him.
So when I asked, how do you feel Brad Holmes did to bolster this thing over the last two off seasons, you've liked the approach he's taken through the draft to be able to bring in some young dogs, and then obviously we've seen him go and kind of plug and play with the vets as needed. And so you're sitting here like you're 10 out of 10 then with your approval rating of this offensive line?
Of everything. Honestly, I think he's gave himself multiple star athletes to work with, and honestly, he can move them wherever he needs or sees fit. And say 2-3 weeks into the season, we got to move Tate from guard to center because we think he'd be better there. I'd be cool with that move. Or say he starts at center and then we move him to a guard because we don't necessarily see him giving us the security that we need.
You know what, Hunter, man, he's preaching. This is definitely one of those, I'm going to say, caller of the week contenders, man. Hunter, this is a good call. And I appreciate, hearing from somebody who is enthusiastic about what this team can do. Because I know that dude Justin, he does raise a good question as it relates to what this offensive line can still be in the NFC North, and as it relates to their aspirations to win a Super Bowl.
It's all about the
I got
Super
a
Bowl
question
right
for
now.
the people that are doubting our offensive line right now.
Hey, what up, though?
You think that's going to give Jahmyr Gibbs more carries? And with that being so, how explosive do you think he's going to be? Say they make a blitz on the wrong hole, and that's one less person he's got to beat downfield.
You know what? 800. That's a great question. We're going to discuss that. Thank you for calling in, Hunter.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you
a
for
good.
calling in. That's a good
Yeah, that's a segment next week. So Hunter,
Yeah.
you programmed the show. Congratulations, and thank you very much for the call. So tune in. We will answer that question, and shout out to all the callers, and shout out to Chase for handling it beautifully.
Hey, great job, Chase.
And you know
Thank
what?
you, brother.
As much as I wanted to get to some hockey
are
talk,
crazy, bro.
we might have actually taken this all the way to what's trending. Maybe a little bit in, well, actually, no, because we got to wrap this up so we can get to Woodward Wings. But yeah, let's take a break and then come back to what's trending. Sound good, JB?
Yeah, not a problem.
All right, cool.
We got a lot to fill out. So let's start with Lady Jane's, Dr. Pierce, and Mad Packs.
More often and stuff,
Let's
so feel free to call back anytime. But we got to get to these commercials.
Hey, no, come on.
Oh wait.
No, I have Mad Packs. I have Mad Packs. I thought he said Mad Packs last.
Yeah, Mad
no,
Packs was last.
I was hearing.
We can hear you, though.
Yeah. Hey, guys, let's be honest. We like simple stuff like gimmies on a golf course. We like uncomplicated, like Lady Jane's haircuts for men. Walk in, sign in, and before you know it, you're handsome and clean. Lady Jane's open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome. And attention sports fans, don't miss out on expert sports injury insights with Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine. Join Dr. Pierce every Tuesday on Big D Energy and every Thursday during Armani and Edwards, where he's offering top-notch injury advice. Trust the guy that DMAC does. Dr. Jeff Pierce is here to keep you in the game and performing at your best. For more information, visit MichiganSportsAndSpine.com or call 248-426-9944.
And Mad Packs.
And let me tell you about Mad Packs. Mad Packs is the hottest new cannabis brand, and they are partnered with Woodward Sports, and they just launched their new product last week on May 30th. Available in select dispensaries around Michigan. High Low is getting you high for the low, delivering top-tier quality at unbeatable prices. Boom Shakalaka, Boom Shakalaka is a live resin-infused tarantula. That's one is the bomb. Blizzard packs, THCA, moon rocks that hit like a blizzard. Stay tuned with Woodward Sports Network for all the latest updates.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
All right, Woodward sports fans, whether you're hitting the game or simply chilling at home, Jars Cannabis has you covered. Jars is home to Michigan's largest line of recreational cannabis products, 27 locations across the state, 9 alone in Metro Detroit, so there's always one nearby you. But don't fear, because if you live in Grand Rapids, Madison Heights, or Martha, Michigan, stores are popping up your way very, very soon. If you don't have time to check out all their products in-store, hit them up online at jarscannabis.com or check out their Instagram at jars_life, because you know what? I know you want to get high.
Absolutely. Get high, but don't go to Les Stanford right afterwards.
Do
But
it afterwards.
Do that
maybe in
reverse.
But you can get a 2025 Chevy Silverado for just $199 a month, or get a 2025 Chevy Equinox for only $259 a month. Come visit any of Feldman's Oh my goodness, that's the wrong one. Whoops. Wow. I'm struggling today. All right, Les Stanford. You can get a 2025 Sierra for $169 per month, a 2025 Hummer for $699 per month, 2025 Envision lease for $259 per month. Les Stanford, GMC, Buick, Cadillac, Chevrolet. Go to Les Stanford.
And Vin Johnson.
Ven Johnson. Wow. Who keeps stealing our reads, people? BDE. I'm looking at you. But Ven Johnson, he's the fighter. Hey, we got it right here. Thank you so much. If you got a crisis, let Ven point the way. Step 1, verify with details and photos. Step 2, engage your attorney. Step 3, notify your insurance provider. Get justice with VEN, Ven Johnson Law.
Hey, shout out to Ven Johnson Law as well. And all of the sponsors. Just really quickly before I throw it over to JB Smooth, there's some really good comments in the chat here on both ends of this thing. But really, Mr. Biggs, Frank Ragnow was one of the best run blockers in the NFL. What up, though, with Detroit Gunny? He's been very active today and called in. Remember when Barry had all those top 5 to 10 offensive lines? And you know what? I'm seeing a lot of people who they are a little bit concerned, man. They think that it's not doubting. This is what Anthony Patterson says. Not doubting the O-line. It's about being concerned about what we haven't seen yet. We lost our QB at O-line. It's okay to be concerned, LOL. And I saw somebody else in the chat as well who was saying, hey, look, you lost 2 coordinators. You lost some people on the offensive line. I think it was I'm Salty who said expect regression from the offense. So,
I mean,
it was.
That's pretty on brand for I'm Salty. And I'm not mad at you for that. Like, I think we're in a position right now where if you're a little bit concerned with the coordinators on top of Frank Ragnow, I can't kill you for that. I can't call you a hater. I have some slight concerns as well. But I'm not mad if you acknowledge that the guys who left were great at their jobs, but also think that they'll push forward and be fine at the end of the year. I think you can go either way, and I'm perfectly fine with those opinions.
I like that. Hey, touch pass. Over to JB Smooth for what's trending.
Let's do it.
And now it's time for the most electrifying segment on the internet. Bum, bum, bum. It's What's Trending with JB. Live on Wake Up Woodward.
JB Smooth is on fire. Boom, shakalaka.
What's going on, chat family?
Right.
What's going on, fellas? I'll run through these because I know we got to get to the Woodward Wings recording a little bit later. But I got to show you guys this because a longtime Detroit Lions fan has now completed his 9-year journey that I thought was pretty cool, as he has collected signed cards from Detroit Lions players to spell out Calvin Megatron Johnson.
Nice.
Which is just crazy. A 9-year journey this man has had to complete this. It is finally now done.
Wow.
All those are signed by Lions players or former Lions players to basically spell out.
Basically like pieces of the jersey.
Yep, those are jersey pieces with the lettering on them to spell out Calvin Megatron Johnson.
That is actually pretty dope, man. Like, obviously we collect cards and memorabilia, but it's always intriguing to me to see the different ways that people take it just a little bit further. Like how much more does it matter to them, and what ways do they express it? This is pretty dope, man. Definitely tip of the cap.
Yep, tip of the cap.
9
Glad you
years.
have a good team to watch now in the latter part of your 9-year journey. Glad we all have a good team to watch.
I know, right? Glad we all have a good team to watch as well, too. And I got to show you this before I hop into this one video. McDonald's is dropping candles that smell like their ingredients. So Plato's already got this is the face palm already. But yes, there are candles that smell like McDonald's ingredients. So yes, you will get the mustard, the ketchup, the French fry, the Big Mac, and probably some lettuce as well too.
This is it's her Ryan said that smells gross. Goodness God, yeah, that's gonna be a no for me, dog.
It's gonna be a no, especially because like when you first get it, it smells good, but when it like lingers, you just want to like get it out of your car, out of your house.
Yeah.
You just like start like spraying stuff. So yeah, no McDonald's candles for me.
It's look, fresh out the fryer. Shout out to Spice Adams and his old song, but with some with another brand. But fresh out the fryer, cool. But that kind of old French fry lingering smell, I don't want that around.
No.
That's crazy.
Can you imagine your house smelling like a Big Mac?
A Big Mac and old fries. It's like, no.
No, if I walked into somebody's house like that, I would be put off, honestly. I would.
I just thought about
You
the
expect,
reaction
like,
from
good-
people, dog.
You
Like-
know,
Yeah.
I just thought about that.
you know who? You know the Butter Queens are going to be after this candle for sure. You go home to a Butter Queen, you're going to find that on the shelf.
Dog. Did you just say Butter Queen?
Yes,
You
he
know what I'm
did.
talking about.
Yes, he did.
Did.
You know what I'm talking about. We're not being disrespectful.
No, shout out
Shout out the
Chase.
Butter Queens.
Shout out Chase.
How careful Plato's being, dog.
And
He's been real careful.
And moving on. So, and finally, I will end what's trending with this. You guys already know. Mom said, "Don't play ball in the house," but she didn't say anything about dirt bikes, right?
Oh my goodness. And this is funny. This is fun. We wrecked our kitchen.
Yep. This is fine. This is fine.
What the frick, dog?
Luckily, everyone's safe. Everyone is safe in the video. Just not your cabinet.
That could have gone so bad, bro. You're exactly right.
I love how, like, the one girl, instead of making sure her friend or brother or whoever is okay, she's like, "I told you," in the camera with, like, no regard for. But then again, to be honest, if you do something like that, you're probably going to get hurt, and you probably just have to accept the fact that people are going to laugh.
Get you better friends. I would say, Flannel, no, don't do that. Get you better friends.
No, I mean, I wouldn't do it, but.
Look how happy she is at the end.
Oh, she's ecstatic because she was probably like, "Don't do that, Brian," or whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah, like, "I told you." They're doing the point and everything. And
You know, okay, I take that back. Maybe she did try to help. My fault. She wanted this to live on record forever, like dumb A. I get it now. I get it. Golly.
But that's it for what's trending, you guys. Let's hop into mailbag while we got some time and hear from our last few sponsors as well.
We live in idiocracy. Shout out to Grump. You know what? Sometimes, man. But shout out to JB Smooth with What's Trending. If you guys have some questions you want to get into the chat, we'll definitely go on ahead and answer one, maybe two, because I'm looking forward to this next episode of Woodward Wings. I really am. Especially, I can't wait to see the Red Wings back in the thick of things. Not just talking about can they make a wild card spot, but can they be serious players during the playoff season. So
before we get to the sponsors, Steve O baby Sam, that looks like you telling people I told you when Riley Green does good. That's funny. That's funny. I'm gonna keep my Riley Green victory laps to a minimum, and obviously I know he might slump at some point. It's just that every time I still see the nonsense. So just doing the Lord's work, in my opinion.
Hey, you know what? I want to tell the people about White Claw. Can I do that real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Calling all Tigers fans, join us for the White Claw Tigers Tour. You guys already saw we started the show with the victory shades on, courtesy of Jack and White Claw. So you guys, if you want to get yours, meet us out here at the tour. Why? WUW Sports is hitting 4 of the top bars in Detroit to watch Tigers games live. We already did the first one, Mixed Chains. The second one, June 13th. Next Friday for our second stop on the tour at Nemo's Bar in Detroit. Going to join Spencer, Easy, the Heavyweights, and other WUW Sports personalities, and probably Brady, Sales Guy. Be part of the fun and see our reactions live on WUW Sports Network to one of the hottest teams in baseball. It's the White Claw Tigers Tour, brought to you by White Claw and Vin Johnson Law.
And you can't forget about Justin, the Massage Chair House in Loon.
Tell you about the Massage Chair House. Looking to upgrade your relaxation game? Check out Massage Chair House in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, the largest massage chair showroom in the Midwest, with top brands for massage chairs like the Infinity and the Osaki. It is located near the corner of Woodward and Long Lake Road. Experience luxury comfort with Dr. Eric Duncan, the Wellness Doc, and the creator of the top YouTube massage chair review channel. Book a visit at www.massagechairhouse.com or scan the QR code above my head. Massage Chair House, your ultimate ticket to the ultimate recovery and relaxation. And when you're in that massage chair, you can enjoy some Loom, because Loom will get you right with 30% off your entire order using promo code WSN30. And they also have their new Buzzin' drinks, and they are refreshing favorites like watermelon, cherry, and strawberry. Or you can cool off with their 2 new summer flavors, raspberry lemonade and peach, my personal favorites. Crack a can, take a sip, and catch a buzz. Available at any of Loom's 38 locations across Michigan. Use code WSIN30 for 30% off your entire order online or in store. Go to www.loom.com today.
And let's see, man. We're gonna try and answer one more question, and we gotta let Woodward Wings get to it. And I'm seeing a couple of this. I don't even know where this comes from, but people are wanting the Detroit Tigers to potentially trade for Paul Skeens.
Ooh, I mean that's a topic. That's something we might
right?
get to.
Well, that trade that was bouncing around like a week ago is like significantly cheaper than what we were talking about earlier in the show. The Nationals got for Juan Soto. So if that trade that Bleacher Report put out was the actual like trade for Paul Skeens, that's an automatic yes every single time for me.
Hey,
I guess
maybe more on that. That's. I remember that trade, and I'm not gonna say whether I agree or disagree yet, but I will say this, Chase. Do you know what's keeping people from wanting to do it? People are irrationally in love with Max Clark already. I'm not saying he's not a great prospect.
stand Max Clark.
Oh, like it's absurd. Like people like him more than Riley Green already, and I stand by that because he's got aura. Fine prospect though. Yeah, he got big calves too. We posted something about that as well.
Shout out to Travis.
No, but one thing I want to get to. Sorry, Justin. You don't get Riley Green victory laps. You wanted him sent down to AAA Detroit Sports. See, and that's fair. I mean, and for the record, there was some context to what I said. I didn't just flat out say he should go to the minors now, but nobody cares about that. I should have never said Riley Green and minors in the same sentence. My thing is, don't talk nonsense, because if you talk nonsense, I can then victory lap.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
And that whole mess, that was like stuff like, man, if I breathe next, if I breathe within the next 10 seconds, and oh man, I have to go buy myself buddies. That was that Riley Green deal for Mr.
Oh yeah, like
man,
twist my arm, I got a jersey. And for the record, when I said what I said, he was actually playing poorly. I just don't like the nonsense when he's playing well.
What made it funny was it came within the context of literally like a whole week of you like, no, I stand for Riley Green. Then a week later, it was like, uh-oh. I was like, Flannel, he's going to be good, man. You were pressing and you did admit it.
Do you know what I had? I had a mentally weak moment. Is that what you guys want me to admit? I absolutely did. You people wanted him. You people were hammering me every day. But anywho, water under the bridge. Just glad he's playing well right now.
Hey, definitely. And I see Spinny, the other 1/3 part of Woodward Wings. I can't wait to see what you guys cook up this week. You've been crushing, as has a lot of the weekend content. So you guys continue to support Woodward Sports and everything we're trying to do to grow. It was awesome seeing Woodward Tigers also with their first episode, Matt Broder, and Tigers beat reporter Supremo, Nick Koloff. So, guys, stay tapped in.
Tailgate always wins.
Do we have anything else, JB Smooth, or is that a show?
No, that's a show.
Let's rock. Boom, shakalaka. Hey, chat family, as always, you guys are the most important part of this thing. Go ahead and smash that like button. Let's see if we can get like 20 people to just zip through this thing real quick and smash that like button if you didn't get a chance to. Shout out to Matt Broder. Shout out to our brother KG, too. We got interns Noah and intern Ryan in the building. And somebody who I'm going to really give a big shout out to, because there's going to probably be one of these shows where I just walk off of here on air and go to the sound booth and dap him up. That is Kavasi Chase, who's holding it down, continuing to do multiple things, and got the phone lines working for the people. Shout out, man. What up, though?
Hey, how's it going, man? Just doing my best impression of Kobe Bryant today, trying to be a different animal but the same beast. So hope you guys are having a good one, man. Hopefully the Tigers go out and get ourselves another win. And I got a coffee bet with Neil, so I'm hoping Florida will bounce back game 2, because it was a tough loss last night. But I'm calling my shot. I think this is going to be Leon Draisaitl's Conn Smythe to lose. I think he's going to be pulling off his best Evgeny Malkin impression of 2009, as much as I hate to say it.
Who do you have?
I want Florida to win. I think Edmonton is going to win, but I want Florida to win. I hate Edmonton, just because.
All right. No, I mean, me and Chase just talked about it before the show. I don't hate it. Draisaitl certainly, he's in the running, that's for sure.
Goalless last Stanley Cup final, had the first goal of the final and the game winner last night in OT.
Hey, he was big time. Hell of a pass by McDavid in OT though.
Could be the first player also to lead playoffs and the regular season in scoring since Ovi did it in 2019 when the Capitals won the Cup. So. More correlation.
I think he's one behind McDavid right now, but that could change, I think. But, yeah.
Hey, and Luigi Gaming, now Sam wants to send Max Clark down.
Nope. No. I'm just saying, and Spenny will admit this. Spenny's right here. You're off mic, but people are irrationally in love with Max Clark already. And I think he's a damn good prospect, but man.
Jordan from MI is Woodward Wings on a separate channel where they'll find the videos. It is on
the
Woodward Sports main channel. What time are you guys going, the episode going live?
Saturdays at 10. Saturdays at
10
a.m. Eastern time.
Stay tapped in. You will get
7
that live.
Pacific for Detroit guys.
Yeah, and they should be in the live chats too. So it will premiere. Should be a live chat there for you guys to be able to interact with your hosts. We do got JB Smooth, Woodward Sports MVP in the TD booth. Brother, man, what up, though?
Hey, shout out to everyone staying tapped in with us today. It's been an amazing show. Episodes of Fast and Loose are out right now, as along with Woodward Ringside as well too. Also, stop by the Fast and Loose Instagram page because you know what, Haley Deegan and Nolan Aller already have, so you could be next.
Hey, shout out to you guys, man. Continue to crush. Loving how robust and how in depth the content is getting on the weekends. We got that dude Justin in the building. What up, though, brother? Ready for Woodward Wings? You look like.
Oh yeah, I'm sitting here, getting myself ready. I got some people to yell at. Not Spencer and Flannel, but some.
You've been saying this since even before the show started, so that's why I can't wait. I can't wait. You said you about to rile up the Red Wings world.
Oh yeah, I mean this is just becoming to a point where like we're getting ridiculous with some of these takes.
That's right.
It's the calm before the storm.
Flannel Sam, what up, though, man? You already know the better the squad.
Go Tigers, take the series. Shout out Woodward Wings. I second basically everything Justin just said. So watch all of us yell at you Saturday morning at 10 o'clock.
Boy, Brandon DK, Detroit Kool-Aid, your credential Pistons reporter, writer for the network. And it's been a great day. Hit that like button on the way out and make sure you guys stay tapped in with all of Woodward Sports. That's Big D Energy. That's Armani Edwards. That's the fabulous, the extravaganza, the heavyweight. Shout out to Spin the Tip right over there, man. Hey, you guys have a blessed day.